Now, here are the details. We'll do it in plain English. First, the court majority found Trump's deportation plans break due process. That's the essential rules that protect you and any other resident in the U.S. against federal agents or police abusing your rights or mistakenly imprisoning or deporting you when they could have the wrong person. The court finding the Trump administration was crushing people's ability to exercise due process rights, which surely does not pass muster. Second, the Supreme Court rejected Trump's request to basically try to reboot and restart those particular type of deportations. We're not talking about all deportations, which continue in this country, like many countries that have immigration enforcement, but we're talking about these particularly controversial ones where he wanted to use war powers. And so the court in this new ruling found that is this new Supreme Court ruling. It deals President Trump another loss. This is a late Friday decision which halts Trump's attempted deportations. The loss cuts to the heart of the deportation agenda we've seen here, stopping Trump from efforts to rush deportations through by claiming these new powers and requiring the due process that his administration has been trying to crush. That's simply what the ruling does, and we're going to break down how. Here, though, first is the broad coalition that ruled against Trump late today, Friday. On the result, it's 7-2, including all Trump appointees joining the decision that deals him this new loss. It's the same coalition the court had in the earlier round in this case, which was an emergency ruling blocking deportations. Today, Justice Kavanaugh again ruled against Trump. He also concurred to add a process point, that he would have the court take the rest of the case sooner, basically. All of this is bad news for Trump, who's acted like the court would maybe back him on everything that he wants because, in his mind, he won that big immunity case last year. He seemed to reference it at times dealing with Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice. Meanwhile, Trump's lawyers have been deliberately testing and sometimes breaking rules to try to see if they can get things fast-tracked to the Supreme Court so they might get granted new powers. Today's written ruling against Trump comes just after oral arguments where justices were very skeptical of Trump's other power claims. That was yesterday. And this also suggests an unusually fast and strong pushback to a president this early in his term. Legal experts say that is probably needed precisely as the proportionate response to given how radical President Trump has been acting, at least in these first 100 days of the term. This new ruling found that President Trump is enjoined from removing any of these people suing and other basically similar people. The court uses other language, but they're referring to folks who might be removed under the Alien Enemies Act pending order. So that means this effort is now blocked. Federal agents cannot deport those particular people. And agents know they'd be risking their own careers in punishment if they break what is now, tonight, a clear Supreme Court order. Third, this ruling rebukes Trump's bid to try to rush and game the system. His agents were basically testing judges by seeing if they could just rush people out of the country without the due process and then tell judges, well, they're gone, so you don't have any jurisdiction over them anymore. If you've been following the news, you've seen that trick or ploy play out in some cases, but the court is saying that stops. It was most dramatically and kind of immaturely demonstrated, that approach, when Trump's top diplomat, Marco Rubio, posted an oopsie message online dealing with the very serious allegation that they had intentionally deported people, ducking judicial oversight because they allegedly did it after the judge had ordered, in that case, planes to turn back around. Now, today's order puts a stop to that type of lawless gamesmanship, but it also still leaves the final decision on these attempted powers for another day. And I can tell you tonight, that's how it's supposed to be. Cases go up the courts over time. And in the modern era, that happens without an administration in bad faith trying to cut the courts out of that process with these sort of ploys. In fact, it's interesting, I'm going to point out here that Trump appointee Kavanaugh refers to that today. I told you he wrote separately while joining with the big 7-2 majority against Trump, but he wrote separately noting that this ruling blocks Trump deportations by ensuring judges, quote, can decide whether these Venezuelan detainees may be lawfully removed before they are in fact removed. That is a reference to things working as they should rather than being gamed by Trump.